So you want to be a shade. So you want to be forgotten. So you want to have a very sad backstory. So you want to not have to use buffs, which means that you can get right back into the fight if you die in a boss fight. Well, then you've come to the right class. So Shade, like I said, doesn't have pretty much any buffs. It does have a few, but not that you have to worry about until later. And we'll get to them when we get to them. So going into beginner, we have Foxtrot, which is a Smash Bros term. But anyway, this allows you to teleport, if there's no enemies in front of you, a max distance of 300. Which can also be good for getting up on certain ledges that are out of your range. So, like how I can't flash jump up here, if I use Foxtrot, and let's say there was no enemies there, I'd be able to teleport to that platform. So instead of doing it down there where there's monsters, I'll do it right here. So it allows you to teleport to the next platform that's above you, if you use flash jump with it. Next we have Spirit Bond, which is going to be like a passive that continues to get upgrades and gives you different passives as you do it. But as you can see here, 100% stance right from the get-go. Alright, so let's move on to First Job. So in First Job, we have Flash Fist. And this will be your mobbing skill, like it's just the skill that you're going to be using to attack enemies. For some reason I can't put it on my keyboard. And it's actually not that bad. I do have a passive that gives me +1 attack speed, but as you can see, it does 2 lines of damage, and it attacks 4 times. 2 times going up and 2 times going down. Oh, and you can also cancel animations with Foxtrot. So let's say I activate the first hit, and then I Foxtrot. It'll still activate the hit, and then I'll be teleported into a different area. But anyway, you don't have to do that. I'm just saying, like, if you wanted to, like if you're in a dangerous situation or something, just want to get out of there or something, you could do that. But as you see, it's alright. It's a good first job, actually. First job skill. And then we have your flash jump, which, I mean, I've used it already, so it doesn't go super far. It goes far enough, though. And the other skill's passive. So moving on to second job, we have Ground Pound. And Ground Pound is pretty much your first job skill, but it actually has extra effects. As in, you get like this big spirit behind you that punches the ground, and it slows enemies down if they're hit by the shockwave by 40%. 40%. And you can just hold it down if you want to just, you know, keep hitting with it. Next we have Blade Imp, Downward Slash, as well as Forward Slash. And Downward Slash just makes it so that you can pull enemies from the platforms above you down to your platform. Or if you jump, you can pull them even further. So the enemies up there, I can jump. Nope. Sorry. There we go. Okay, so those guys don't want to get pulled down, but you can literally just pull enemies down from other platforms. There's also the forward one, which pulls enemies that are in front of you, you know, closer to you. So it's a lot easier to mob when you can just have them right in front of you. It's like, oh, I need to mob, so... Oops, that's the wrong skill. So pull these guys down, pull these guys closer to me, and just start mobbing. Next we have Backstep, which is my favorite skill for this class. When you use it, you have invincibility, and it can also cancel the current skill's animation. So I'm able to just teleport through these guys. But let's say I'm stuck in animation, like, oh, this attack is so slow, they're about to hit me. Then I can just back up, and the attack will still go through. But I'll show that more with fourth job. So it just moves you a certain distance backwards, giving you invincibility as well. Passive. This is a passive as well, but I will mention that it gives you 1 attack speed. Knuckles have a 5 attack speed. This brings it down to a 4. There's a soft cap of 2, of course, and I'll get to it. Passive. Another passive. So this is a toggle on and off skill. If you toggle it on, it turns on this skill, which is Fox Spirit Mastery. Has a 10% chance to summon one little fire flame fox that can go bouncing around. It can bounce up to two times on one enemy. Although, it can bounce from enemy to enemy. So mine is the 4th job version. There it is, it's bouncing on that guy. Oh, maybe it only does bounce on one enemy. Well, anyway. You already saw it. It just bounces on an enemy, dealing extra damage. The reason they made it a toggle is because if you were fighting, I don't know, Pierre or something, you didn't want to hit the opposite hat, it was a good way to just take it off and not have to worry about doing damage to the other Pierre. Alright, so moving on to 3rd job, Shockwave Punch. So once again, this is an upgrade to your mobbing skill. Instead of just doing 2 hits, he now does 3. And if you hit an enemy, it releases a shockwave that will do extra damage to other enemies in the area. So let's go down here where there's a lot of enemies, drag them close, and there you go. Well, I'm lagging, but you see, like the little shockwave that comes out does extra damage to enemies near the area. The Foxfire bouncing around, it's always very helpful. Alright, so what else do we have in 3rd job? Ooh, Spin Slash. Okay, so where did I have this? I already forgot where I put it. That's there, that's there. Oh, I took it off my keyboard. Okay. So with Blade Imp Spin Slash, it drags enemies from around you. So if they're on either side of you, it'll drag them right in front of you. And then you can go back to mobbing. So, you know, drag the enemies down, bring them in front of you, and then start punching them like crazy. And then we have Spirit Frenzy, which will do continuous damage for probably 10 seconds? I'm not sure. But it does have a cooldown of 10 seconds, and when you first press it, it's small, and then it just keeps getting bigger and bigger as you hold it down. And of course that's the max size. It just does continuous damage. And the cooldown doesn't start until you let go of it, or it runs out of duration. Then we have Spirit Trap, which is your bind skill. Yes, they do get a bind in 3rd job. And what it does is it keeps enemies still, as long as they're within the circle. So any enemies that are trapped within here cannot move, cannot attack, or do anything like that. And passive, passive. Oh, looks like he got away. Goodbye. Alright, so next we have Summon Other Spirit, which is a passive. Okay, so a lot of these skills are going to be passive, okay? But you can see it up here. And what it does is, if you're about to die, like, I guess I can activate. No, it's okay. So it'll save you from death once, is what it's saying. And when it does save you from death, it brings you back with 3 seconds of invincibility, and then it goes on cooldown for 1,800 seconds. And then we have Weaken, which is another passive that I feel like I should mention. There's a 10% chance to apply a debuff to enemies that allows you to do 20% extra damage, lowers their accuracy by 60%, and their avoidability by 40%. Very useful. Moving on to 4th job, we have Bomb Punch. And this is the final upgrade to your mobbing skill. And Spirit Claw, which is your bossing skill. Like, you can actually boss now. It's so good too, it has good range. It attacks 3 enemies, so you could mob with it if you wanted to. Okay, so I guess I'll explain this. So Bomb Punch, very fast attack. Does many lines, stuns enemies on the last hit of it. Thing is that it's just that. It's a mobbing skill. So when you're mobbing, because of how many attacks it has a very high chance to summon the Foxfire. Remember, it only had a 10% chance? The faster you attack, the more times it can proc. So you pretty much get, like, better map clear with all the Foxfire going around. The thing is that if there's only 3 enemies around you, I'd rather just use Spirit Claw so I can 2-hit them, rather than wait for Bomb Punch to kill it. Because Bomb Punch is great and all, but Spirit Claw is just stronger. So if there's only 3 enemies near you, you can just use Spirit Claw. And then if there's more, you can use Bomb Punch to get rid of them. Bomb Punch, like I said, also summons more Foxfire, so in general, Bomb Punch is more useful for mobbing. It also has very good range on it. Like if I jump, I can actually hit the top row as well. So it's a very good mobbing skill. And then Spirit Claw, I already explained, very good range. It does 8 lines, and yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about that. Death Mark. So this is a skill that when you hit an enemy, like here, I'll take a little bit of damage. When you hit an enemy, it'll put a debuff on them. The debuff will then begin to heal you for, what was it? 1% of the damage dealt. So, as you can see, I need healing. And now I don't. Or, okay, so it's, oh, there we go. It was lagging, I guess. So every time that the debuff does damage, it'll give me 1% of the damage that it's dealing. This can also be used on enemies that have damage reflect on. The thing is that it won't get you killed by damage reflect, but you'll also only be doing 1 damage, which means that you won't be healing much. So what I like to do is activate it before I think that the boss is going to do damage reflect, and then I'll hit them with the Death Mark, so that I can continue healing while I'm not able to attack. Alright, next is Soul Splitter. So, Soul Splitter does a lot of damage on 1 enemy. Or on, how many enemies? Up to 6 enemies. But it only hits once. The thing is that it will split their body from the main body. Like, I'm gonna have to use it to show you instead of trying to explain it. So, when you use it, it splits the enemies up. And the split form, as you can see over here, actually shares the same HP as the original form. The split form will not move, and it takes 50% of the damage that you normally deal. But they share HP though. So in general, it's a buff to you and your party, because your party can also hit the split enemy. So as it says, shares HP with the body, minus 50% final damage, 10 seconds, okay, blah blah blah. Oh, also, enemies that are split will give you 100% or 2 times EXP. So you could use it for mobbing, I guess. I mainly use it just for bossing, but you can use it for mobbing. Definitely hit Horntail with it. Oh my god, that's so much EXP. But anyway, for enemies that can't be split, so enemies that don't move around, like Horntail, Zakum, things like that, Galux, it won't split them. Instead, the enemy will take 50% extra final damage. Or is it just damage? Yeah, it just says damage, doesn't say final damage. So, yeah, you'll do 50% more damage to enemies that can't be split. Just to make up for the, so that the skill's not useless during some bosses. And I think that's all I want to say about that skill. There is something else I want to mention with this skill, but... Okay, so let's say you're fighting Damien, right? Damien moves around a lot. If you hit him with Split, the clone or the split body of his will stay on the floor, and you can just keep damaging that as much as you want while he's off flying in the air or disappearing or whatever. So great skill not only for, doing damage, but also if an enemy is all over the place, then it's a great way to keep doing damage to them. Maple Warrior, one of your only buffs, gives you and your party 15% all stats. Spirit Ward, when you use it, it gives you 3 fish that go around you. And each fish will nullify damage and status. So if I were to get hit here, it would take 1 fish. If I would actually take damage. There we go. So it took 1 fish, and my HP didn't go down at all. It did show numbers above my head, but I didn't take damage. because it took one of the fish. This also applies to status. So, yeah. But the cooldown is a minute. Not too long, but, very helpful. Very useful. Next, we have the upgraded version of, I'm going to call it Foxfire. So instead of being a 10% chance, now it's a 20% chance to summon a little flame. And now it bounces 3 times. So, awesome. Hero's Will gets rid of abnormal status and makes you immune to abnormal status for 3 seconds. And then we have Spirit Bond. Oh, that's passive. What are Spirit Bond for? Another passive. This is a passive I feel like I should mention. When an enemy's HP goes below 50%, below half, your critical rate is increased by 85%, and your crit damage is increased by 15%. So, as you can see, I only have 28% crit rate. However, if an enemy's HP is below half, then all my next hits are going to be 100% because as long as I have 15% or higher crit rate, I have 100% if their HP is below half. And that's it for all the skills except for hypers. Let's move on to hyper passives. I just put all 3 into Spirit Claw because that's the main bossing skill. It can also be used as a mobbing skill. I increased the number of lines, boss damage, normal damage. Didn't put anything into Bomb Punch, even though it is a great skill. Instead, what I did is I did Summon Chance of Foxfire plus 10%, so it's 30% chance to summon. And the number of times it can bounce increased by 1, so now instead of 3 times, it can bounce 4 times. If there's any shade mains or anything, please leave a comment, make sure that I have this right. I didn't look anything up, I just did what I thought sounded good. So, next moving on to active hypers. Spirit Bond. You get this at 150, and when you first get it, it gives you 35% damage. Oh my god, that's a lot of buffs. I never even... Okay, anyway. So it gives you 35% damage, 20 attack, 20% boss, attack speed plus 1, and enemy defense ignore 20%. And that's at 150. I'll come back to it at 200. You know, I'll talk about it now. So, those are the effects at 150. At level 200, however, if you use it, you get a little moonbeam. And you will... I'm not going to spoil it. You have to actually do the story. But as you can see, she pretty much uses skills to help you out. She'll do extra damage to enemies. And as you attack... I'm going to see if I can get one to drop. As you attack, these little flower petals, or whatever they were supposed to be, will drop. And let me see if I can see where it is. They call it liver memory. I'm gonna just call it little flower petals. All you have to do is walk over them, and what happens is it'll increase the duration of Spirit Bond. Now, like I said, this is only after you hit level 200. But it'll just increase the duration because the duration is kind of short. It's only 30 seconds. But you can continue increasing it even past the 30 duration. Like, you can make it last a minute if you continue picking them up. But yeah, great buff. She has, you know, she can do one of 3 attacks, or she'll randomly choose to use 3 attacks. I guess I don't really have to go over them. You could just see the animations when you get to 200. They're pretty cute. She's just extra DPS, really. At 170, you get Spirit Incarnation. Incarnation? Yeah. And this is amazing. Very, like, it hits a wide range. It pretty much hits the whole screen and leaves you invincible while casting it. There you go. So it's a great mobbing skill. Just amazing. Just clears everything. Alright. And you get that at 170. It has a cooldown of 2 minutes, though. Lasts for 8 seconds. It's nice. And at level 200, you get 10% damage to you and your party as long as they're a hero. As in, like, Phantom, Mercedes, and so on. So, yeah. That's all the skills. I guess I'll go over a little bit of the mobbing, and then we'll go into bossing. Oh, something I wanted to mention. Traveling faster as a shade. Since the flash jump doesn't go that far, I like to mix it up with backstep and foxtrot. so that I go much farther. So what I do is I jump forward, turn around, and then Foxtrot. Or turn around again and then Foxtrot. So jump, turn around, backstep, turn around again, and then Foxtrot. It just makes you go a little farther. Or a lot farther, actually. Very good for getting across maps. Mobbing wise, I mainly just use Bomb Punch. I remember back when Bomb Punch was really not useful, but now it is, so yeah, I'm definitely using it when I'm mobbing. And then I wanted to mention also about Shade's attack speed. Shade's attack speed, Knuckles' attack speed is 5. They get a passive 1 attack speed, and then when using the 150 hyper skill, they get another 1. So you definitely need, for an inner ability, you need +1 attack speed. Highly recommended. You can also get later on decent speed infusion. That would definitely help with your attack speed. But yeah, once this class gets attack speed, oh my god, it's amazing. It's so good. So, alright, I guess I can move on to bossing. So, 2 things I forgot to mention. You can't, well, I did mention it, but I didn't actually show it. So, if you backstep in the middle of Spirit Claw's animation, it'll still go off, but you'll be safe. So, if you ever find yourself, about to get hit by an attack, you just backstep and still do damage. Another thing I forgot to mention, when using the 150 hyper and you're level 200 and above, and you've of course completed the quest to get the Moonbeam Spirit. What was I gonna say? I forgot. Oh yeah, she'll activate Spirit Ward for you. The 3 fish, she'll automatically do it for you. Even if it's on cooldown, she'll do it for you. It's sort of random when she'll do it, but as soon as you summon her, she'll do it like automatically. And then after a little bit of time, she'll do it again. So the way that you boss is you just Spirit Claw. So I'm gonna go ahead and drain, bind, and split. And yeah, that's pretty much how I boss as a Shade. Make sure you grab these things so that you have the buff for even longer. And yeah. That's about it. Not much else I can really show. Oh, and of course, if you're in danger of something, just use the 170 skill, because it leaves you invincible, so... Oh, she's so cute! You'll be out of danger. So, yeah. Hope you enjoyed the video. If I missed anything, please leave it in the comments. I could make another video about it. But, anyway. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.